Hey guys, thanks for joining me here on the first episode of Brett's RE Breakdown. I'm Brett Stone with Weichert Realtors, Your Place Realty. I'm going to try to kind of rush through this because I don't have very much time. If I talk too fast, I apologize, but if you really need to, you can rewind me and listen to me talk over and over and over again. So, we're going to touch on three things today. I'm going to talk about renters, I'm going to talk about how you can rent out property, and I'm going to talk about this magical thing called equity. So, renters. Okay, you guys are the ones that kind of drive me crazy. Every time I approach you guys or talk to you guys about purchasing property or trying to get a mortgage, I always hear the same things. I always hear you say, well, I don't want to be tied down, or I don't know if I'm ready for the responsibility. I don't know if I have a lot of money to put down on a house. Some of you guys don't even know how much you need to put down on a house. So, I want to talk to you about rent. Because you're so stuck on paying it, let's talk about it. You guys don't want to pay a mortgage, so you choose to pay rent. So you approach your landlord every month, and you give him a rent check, correct? Yes, every single month you approach your landlord and give him a rent check. If you're not doing that, you should be careful because you're probably going to get evicted. But you give, let's say, for the sake of you being a model citizen, you give your landlord a rent check. What does he do with that rent check? Okay? You give your landlord a rent check, he takes that money, he deposits it into his account, and more often than not, he pays his mortgage with it. So I could repeat that a fourth time and say you give your landlord a rent check. Sorry, I just repeated it a fourth time. You give your landlord a rent check, fifth time, and he deposits it in his bank, pays his mortgage. So, whether you like it or not, you are paying a mortgage. It's just not your own mortgage, which is pretty unfortunate for you. If you ask me, kind of unfortunate. You're paying a mortgage, and you don't get to keep the property. You don't own it. So, now let's turn the tables a little bit. You're the landlord now, okay? You are the lord. You control everything. You're the landlord. You buy a property. And since you're so stuck on living in an apartment forever, why not buy a 2-flat? All right? Listen to this. This gets crazy. So you buy a 2-flat. All right? You live in the bottom floor because you love the idea of living in an apartment, okay? And for those of you out there who are saying, well, I don't want to buy property not because I'm afraid of the mortgage. I don't want to buy property because I don't want to be stuck in it forever. Listen to this. Okay, you buy that 2-flat, and you live in the bottom floor, and you rent out the top floor, all right? So, when you're renting an apartment, you're stuck there for the remainder of your lease. When you buy this place, right? You live in the bottom floor, you rent out the top floor. Let's say you rent out the top floor for $1,200 a month, okay? And let's say, for the sake of math, that you got the 2-flat for $100,000. These are really fake figures, but you got the 2-flat for $100,000. You are paying $1,000 a month, give or take, on the mortgage, on PITI, principal, interest, tax, and insurance. Principal is the amount of your loan. Everyone knows what interest is. It's what the bank charges you to give you money. Taxes are the only thing certain in life other than death. And insurance, in case your building burns down and the insurance company recoups you money, blah, blah, blah. So you pay your mortgage $1,000 a month. You take that rental income from the guy that lives upstairs or the girl that lives upstairs. She pays you rent, and you put it in your bank account, and then you pay your $1,000 mortgage. Look at that. You're living for free and making $200 extra on the side that you can buy groceries and food and, I don't know, pay Netflix bills and stuff with. So, now look, you're still living in an apartment, but you're being paid to live in that apartment rather than paying to live in that apartment and paying somebody else's mortgage to live in that apartment. All right? So, let's backtrack a little bit. You bought that house, 2-flat, you're renting out the top unit, you're getting paid to rent it out, and now backtracking to the people that don't want to be tied to a place for very long. You only have to do that for 2 years, okay? 2 years of living in that first unit and renting out that second, and now you have 2 years of rental income. 2 years where someone's been paying you. So, you take that 2 years of tax returns where you reported the income on your taxes, because again, you're a model citizen, and you bring those 2 years of W-2s to a lender. The lender takes that as proof of income. That's extra money that you're making on top of the job that you already have. Okay? So now what do? You want to move because you don't want to be tied down. So rather than selling that 2-flat, for those of you who are always worried about resale and I don't want to be stuck to a place and can't sell it, rather than selling that 2-flat, you re-sign the lease on the top unit, sign a new lease on the bottom unit, and then you go buy another 2-flat or a house. But since you seem to be stuck on the idea of living in an apartment, once again, you buy another 2-flat and you do the same thing there. You rent out the top unit, you live in the bottom unit for 2 years. After 2 years, you have 2 years W-2s. Now you not only have 2 years of W-2s for rental income on the top unit above you in this second building, you have 2 units with rental income coming in from the previous building that you owned. Okay? So now some of you out there are like, wait a minute, how the heck did I just buy a second building? Listen to this. This brings me into equity, okay? So for those of you who don't know what equity is, I'm going to try to explain it like this. You bought that original building for $100,000, okay? You paid $1,000 a month for 2 years. That's $24,000. So you subtract $24,000 from that original $100,000 and you're down to $76,000. Subtract $76,000, which is the balance of your loan. You subtract $76,000 from the worth of your property. For the sake of math, the worth of your property is $100,000. $100,000, the worth of your property, minus the $76,000 that you owe. You have $24,000 in equity on that property. Now there are ways that you can turn that equity into cash in your pocket. If you need information on that, I can connect you with a lender and you can talk to them and you can figure it out. I'm not saying go out and take out an equity loan on your house. I'm saying you can do things to turn that equity into cash right now, and you take that equity, that cash, and you put it down on that second property. And you can do this over and over and over again. And then guess what? After 10 years, you do this every 2 years, you now have 5 properties, okay? And then you can quit your job, because who needs a job when you've got thousands and thousands of dollars coming in from properties that you own? This is how you build wealth. All right, so I'm running out of time here. If any of you out there want to get more information on equity, or you want to get information on how you can get approved for an original loan, you can feel free to go to my website at brettsrebreakdown.com. That's BRETTSRE breakdown.com. If you have any questions, reach out. Feel free to drop a comment below. Anything you need, you let me know. Thanks for joining me for episode 1 of Brett's RE Breakdown. Have a good weekend.